Okay. All right. All right. All the things. Okay.
Did our technical team approve all of this?
Our technical team is me and my saint of a husband who sits here as we try to figure out.
He is the goodest of good sports.
He is the goodest of good sports. I've seen some good sports in my day. He takes the good sport cake.
He does. He does. He was helping me the other day with stuff.
With stuff. It was my husband's birthday last week and this week.
All week.
All week. In the week, it was his birthday. And my mom wrote him a really beautiful card. And in it, it said, "Thank you for putting up with us through the pandemic." And it's like, it's fair. It's fair. He's a good sport. That's why we love him. One of the many reasons. Isn't that right, dear? Yeah, see, now he ignores me.
Not for that. Didn't pick up his cue. Good sport, but didn't pick up his cue.
Good sport. Well, it's nothing to do with this stuff. But it looks like it's working, which brings me great joy.
Okay.
I hope.
We'll take it.
Yes, I'll take it. I'll take it whenever it all wants to work. I don't ask much, just that the various things work. But hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. How you doing?
Okay.
Okay.
I came down with what I thought was laryngitis yesterday.
You did think it was so my dad,
and it may well be.
My dad loves to print out jokes that he gets and will hand them to us. He prints them, he hands them to us. So yesterday, my husband and I were sitting here actually, and he came in with a piece of paper, and we thought he was just handing us more jokes. And instead it said, "I think I have laryngitis and I can't talk." It's like, oh, it's not. I mean, I guess it could be funny, but no. No, only funny because he was sending everyone text messages because he didn't want to speak. So I have a bunch of text messages that are things like, "Hi, did you see this?" Yes, I did see that. Okay. Anyway, as I say, I'm just, forgive me for looking down. I'm just making sure that everything is working all the places it's supposed to work.
Well,
hey, Christy, you joined us today. It's nice to see you again.
We had a milestone this week.
We did. And
my daughter and I. That is my daughter, Jessie. I'm her father, Leonard. And on Monday, we went to the movies.
We did. Oh, man.
We went to a press media screening of a film that's opening on Friday.
Yeah, we can say what it is now.
Well, okay.
Because people posted their reviews already.
Have they?
Oh, yes.
I don't
all
do
that good stuff. I know you don't.
But we saw A Quiet Place Part 2.
We did.
And we saw it at the AMC Century City, which is one of the larger multiplexes here in LA.
Yeah.
And
the reason we mentioned this last week, the reason that we said yes was because there was a feeling of a bit of control with this particular screening. You know, it was a press screening. They
stopped the great unwashed from coming in.
But it was a press screening. Yeah. They had us fill out health things to go in. They checked our temperature, all that good stuff. Plus, they kept it obviously very small.
Very sparse. And they did it in their IMAX audits.
In a big
faux IMAX.
Yeah, faux Max, as I call it.
But still, it was a large screen.
Yeah.
And which is nice that our first
so
experience.
Nice to see a big screen and a movie on it. But they kept it small. What they did was they had 3 screenings that day. So you could choose
to make up for the fact that they couldn't accommodate too many
that they
people.
couldn't have the normal, 100, 200, 300, depending on where you're going. And we knew pretty much everybody in the room.
Yeah.
So it felt nice.
Oh, and we were masked.
Of course, yeah. Of course we were masked.
Well, you say of course, but
Oh, sorry. It's still a requirement. We're in Los Angeles, where it is still a requirement to wear a mask most places. And so, yes, we were all masked, and it felt as safe as it can feel.
Yeah.
Most of the people you're in the room with.
And I endured the mask. That's my first movie.
Yes.
My first masked movie.
Yes. Now, the first thing I realized as the movie began is there's something very important my father has forgotten while watching all these movies at home. When in a theater, you can't talk. Because about 5 seconds in, he goes, "Who is that?" Now, I've talked about this, but I don't know if it's a scientific fact that as soon as you become a parent, you lose the ability to whisper.
That was what they call in the dramatic trade, a stage whisper.
Yeah, I don't even think that would go down as a stick. Both my mom and my dad can't whisper. So my dad just leans over to me and he goes, "Who is that?" It's like, "It's Killian Murphy." "Is that Gary Cole?" "No, it's Killian Murphy." "Okay." He's like, "Do you have any gum? Do you have any gum that I could chew?"
Do you have a diary of the entire?
I mean, because it was pretty funny. And I finally had to go, "Shh." And then he did. And then I just parceled out gum as we sat.
I'm not a movie disruptor.
You are, no. Only in my life. You disrupt no one but me. So it's fine. But in general, Frank says my dad did the same thing. I swear to God, his parents can't whisper. It's a scientific fact. But we sat there and we watched this movie that I thought was really good.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that we got to see it on a big screen because it is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an action film.
Yep.
And it was really nice to see it on a big screen.
It was great. And of course, having no one around us was pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd say they were really good about spacing everybody.
Yeah.
So,
but in normal use,
yeah,
real life, I never go to the movies on a weekend evening.
Yeah, no, we don't go.
I go off.
Alice
and I both have made a lifelong
me too.
practice of going Tuesday at 4.
Yeah.
You know.
But we're lucky because we don't have real life jobs.
No, I don't punch a clock, so I can control my my kind of goings.
Yeah.
And that's one of the best parts.
Yeah. So it is a nice thing to be able to just go when other people are not there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was our first time. We got to see a movie on a big screen.
Now, as we were going in, the refreshment stand was dark.
But that's because the theater was still closed.
Oh.
Remember, as we were leaving, they'd opened the theater up, and that's why everything was turning back on again.
I did remember, but I didn't know that it was closed.
Yeah, that's why there was no one else there, and everything was dark.
Uh-huh.
He hasn't gone outside a lot.
No.
But yeah, that everything was dark.
I'm still just blaming everything on COVID.
That's okay.
My COVID brain.
That's okay.
Or lack of.
Hey, you know, we've all made it, right? We've all gotten this far. It's okay. But yeah, it was closed. That's why everything was closed. Okay. And then as we were coming out, all the lights were on. People were coming into the theater. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's, again, lucking out of going to a screening is the theater was closed when we got there. So yeah. Now my husband.
So that's the first movie in 14 months.
Yeah, insane. 14 months since we've been in a theater.
Well, not the first movie. The first movie theater experience.
Movie theater, yeah. Husband wants to go see the Godzilla film before it's gone,
mm-hmm.
and I can't figure out how I feel about going to a regular movie yet. I can't figure out how I feel. If I'm comfortable or not. I mean, the truth is, you just have to do it and find out. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that I kind of just have to do that.
And then your mother and I watched, and this I can't talk about yet. We watched Cruella.
Yes.
Via computer link.
Yes.
On our large TV. And I can report in on that next week.
Yes.
We'll post a review Friday on the website. And yesterday I watched, and I can talk about this because first, I liked the movie so much.
Yeah.
And second, it was at the Sundance Film Festival.
Yeah. Embargoes are very important if you don't like a movie. If you like a movie, they don't really mind if you just forget the embargo. They just don't want you to talk about it if you don't like something.
I saw Questlove's documentary feature called Summer of Soul. It's so good. I mean, it got great reviews.
Yeah.
And it's going to be released by Searchlight.
Yeah.
In July.
Summer? Yeah, in summertime. So.
Wow, was it good. And it's another one of these, and there's been a lot this past year, another one of these late 60s time trip movies, because I remember I was around then, you know, and there's footage. It's a footage that has never been shown. There was a series of 4 concerts in a park in Harlem for the Harlem Cultural Festival, I think it was called. And an all-star lineup that you can't top. But they never did anything with the material. One of the guys who worked on it said no one would buy it. They tried to sell it as like a black Woodstock. It took, it took place the same summer as Woodstock.
Yeah.
100 miles south in New York. It's so good. And it's
so glad.
It's about the cultural, political changes, music changes, evolution. I hadn't thought about Mayor Lindsay since he left office. I mean, he was a very popular, very high profile mayor of New York City, and very handsome and patrician born. People said he had the Kennedy mystique. And as I recall, he was a good mayor, but he certainly put on a good front, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And he seemed to be well received by the some 40,000, mostly black, people who were there. And in fact, one of the things they point out, I won't do any of the other spoilers. That's the year that black replaced Negro.
Yeah.
In the common parlance.
And that's also really, really an interesting story.
Yeah. There's so much good stuff in the film. Stevie Wonder is great. B.B. King.
I'm going to watch it later. I'm really excited about it.
Mahalia Jackson.
Yeah.
On and on and on and on. Boy, I'm still.
Yeah. You were really jazzed when you came down.
Yep.
After watching it, which is fantastic. And Questlove is a fascinating guy. He's a really fascinating guy.
He uses his real name with Questlove in the middle, just as.
You know the order.
Yeah.
I always tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an order when you are someone who is, let's say, moving into a different field. So
different phase of your career.
No, but field, because you're a rapper and then you're in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So the most prominent one to do this in terms of people being aware is actually Ludacris, because he was Ludacris, and then he did Chris Ludacris Bridges, and now he's just Chris Bridges. Mm-hmm. And I'm always fascinated by that. Obviously, The Rock is another one. It was The Rock, then Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and now just Dwayne Johnson. But I'm always intrigued to see how people want to sort of go down that path.
Yeah.
Don't
want to lose the identification.
Yeah.
Or the popularity that you've built up very carefully.
Do you remember the Snoop Dogg story? Do you remember this?
No.
With Old School? What did the director, was it, what did he do before? Let me look this up so I get it right. Yeah. He had him in another film where he was a bit of a nightmare to work with. And when they wanted to bring him in for something else, that's the order, right? He did Old School first, and he was a bit of a nightmare on set, not as a person, but just late and
well, that's a person.
Yeah. difficult. And then he was going to be cast. Was he Huggy Bear or something like that? He was going to be cast in another film, and Todd said, I don't think I can handle working with you and the whole you-ness. And he explained, no, for Old School, you hired Snoop Dogg. For this, you want me, the actor, and I'm on time, and I learn my lines, and I know exactly what I'm doing. Huh. And I just thought that it has stuck with me, obviously, because it's just so interesting to think, he's a persona as much as he's anything else.
And now he's a vintner.
Yeah. We did, my husband and I did buy a bottle of his wine, his Cali Red. We don't actually drink wine, but we thought, hey, should have it. Why not? Let me grab some questions for you. Ryan says, Leonard, I'm wondering what you think of the Westerns Buck Jones made at Columbia in the early 1930s.
I haven't seen all that many. I really like Buck Jones.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. And
how much?
A lot. I've seen just a few, so I can't really pick one out. I saw the one that they released on DVD because John Wayne has a small role in it, and they thought that would be of interest to collectors. Fans. And it would.
Do you have a favorite that comes to mind?
Well, that serial I discovered last year that I'd never seen before, what's it called, the Roaring West.
My brain's mush. Don't look at me.
Okay, it's a Universal serial, one of the best serials I've ever seen, and a great part for Buck. And his leading lady is Muriel Evans, who was also Charlie Chase's leading lady in the early 30s. And they seem to have a really nice rapport. And So that's a bonus.
Can't go wrong. What is Leonard Maltin's favorite Busby Berkeley 1930s musical movie? Say that 5 times fast.
I don't know if I can answer that being in the third person.
Yes.
I can tell you what my favorite.
What would a Leonard Maltin think? Twere there were a Leonard. Mabel, what are you doing?
Well, 42nd Street. And because I love everything about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I love his numbers, of course, in almost every film. But 42nd Street to me is such an emblematic and wildly entertaining movie.
And a great one, if you are not familiar with Busby Berkeley, it's actually something where you may recognize the style when it's copied. You may be more aware of it when you see it. It's those
overhead.
When the camera's up here.
Kaleidoscopic type shots.
We both did this.
Yes.
When the camera's up here and you look down and it's sort of like, it's all beautifully choreographed. And it can look like flowers or opening,
The dancers' bodies become geometric patterns.
Mm-hmm. That's an excellent description.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And he shot all those with one camera and one cameraman, which is why they worked late into the night so often.
Yeah.
But
there was always that one. Steve, you go left. You turn it left, Steve. There's always that one guy.
In the age of DVD, I don't know if this is still in print from Warner Home Video, but they did the Busby Berkeley disc. It was first on Laserdisc, and they did it on DVD.
Laserdisc.
All of his musical numbers from Warner Brothers, one after another. And of course, there's like too much chocolate. You can overdose on Busby Berkeley, but it's just so fascinating.
I've never in my life of knowing you heard you say too much chocolate.
You're right. You're right.
Ever.
Good point.
I would say if you do want to bribe him, chocolate's the way forward.
Point taken.
Fun fact, Leonard Maltin, chocolate. Hi from New Brunswick, Canada. Hello.
Hello.
Beautiful New Brunswick. Lucky that you're there. I'm looking through. Is that a Chia Elmer Fudd?
Thank you for noticing.
Sure is. We got this guy. Hold it, please. We got this guy, I don't even know how long ago.
So
a very long time ago. Shrink, yeah. Tells you exactly who we are. You can't take it out of the box. I did ask once because I did want to see it grow. Who wouldn't? But yeah, Chia Elmer Fudd.
With an illustration from Rabbit of Seville.
Yeah. Some people have Chia Obama. Some people, all kinds of Chia. We have Chia Elmer Fudd. And actually, yeah. No, it's still intact. One day we should try and see if he grows or not. That scar looks painful. Yeah, I am covered in scars. It's one of my many, many party tricks. In part, why I like covering them up with tattoos so they don't scare the ever-loving crap out of people. It doesn't hurt. It just looks awful. Let's see. Hope the Moultons are doing well. We are.
We're okay.
We're good. Now that you're not feeling so laryngitis-y.
Yes, I'm grateful for that.
Which is nice, given the option. We've had a good week, I think. What happened to Alice Moulton? We got rid of her. We killed her. Quietly. I'll be honest with you.
Quietly.
We just took her down. Frank has a Chia Homer Simpson. See, we think alike. My mom, to be honest with you, is just tired. She's been having a really tough time breathing.
The air's not been good this week.
We've had some fires.
And she has asthma, and sometimes it kicks up.
Yeah.
Had a tough week.
So sometimes she graces us with her presence, and other times she does not. I do tell her that you miss her. She is quite literally directly above our heads. My parents' room is directly above us. So I could just try the old broom trick and knock up there and say, hey, they miss you. I will try to get her back. But Alice Moulton is, let's be honest, she's a diva, and she does what she wants to do. So as I say, when we are blessed with Alice's presence, we are indeed blessed with Alice's presence. Do you have any thoughts on the greatest show on earth?
Yes. In fact, I appear on the new Blu-ray from Paramount Home Entertainment, talking about it because it's a film I saw, I think, when I was 12 years old. and I just love it. And it is one of the most reviled Oscar Best Picture winners, because a lot of people don't care for it, find it too corny, and it is corny. That was one of the things Cecil B. DeMille specialized in, and but it's kind of corn I enjoy. And he narrates throughout. There's almost documentary type footage about the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus going on the road, and it shows you all the components of putting on that show and putting it literally on the road, on rails, and taking it to the next town. I'm very fond. Steven Spielberg is also fond of that movie, which he has said more than once.
Yeah.
And when he remade War of the Worlds, which a Paramount film, he had that on the mark. No, not on the marquee. I think they're watching it on television. Yeah, the character was watching it on TV.
It makes a cameo.
Yeah.
You should wear a mask when you're in the. Yeah, we wear our mask everywhere. We're supposed to wear our mask. Don't worry.
But we are fully vaccinated.
Yeah, we are that. But we are also delicate, immune-compromised flowers. So we are very, very, very careful. Somebody asked earlier if it's sort of been as crazy, because I have lupus and a bunch of other autoimmune diseases, what it's been like, having COVID, but also recovering from COVID and all the craziness. It's exactly as insane as you would think it would be. As I said then, and I'll say now, I don't recommend getting COVID. I didn't enjoy it. Still don't have my sense of smell back. It's been well over a year now.
That's a drag.
But useful when you have two dogs that sleep in bed with you. It's definitely not as bad as it could be. It does.
It has its advantages.
But yeah, it's as crazy as you'd think it would be. I'm very grateful that I got through it. And now, as I say, we're just very, very careful, because between you, me, and mommy, as I say, beautiful, delicate flowers. But yeah, we'll all be okay. Well, Logan is sleeping next to me. That was the other question, is how are the dogs? They're good. Miss Mabel, who we call White Lightning, is over there sleeping. A rare moment of sleep between doing Zooms everywhere. If you're not familiar, I'm talking about our dogs. We have two newer dogs because our two older dogs passed away recently. But now we've got little Logan, who's next to me right now, asleep. We call him the Chocolate Bear. He is between 1 year and 2 years. They're both rescues. Both Logan and Mabel are rescues. And they're doing really well. Aren't you? Doing really, really well. And we take them for training and all that good stuff. But mostly we just snuggle them a lot, because there's never a bad time. Just saw A Date with Judy, and it is a great classic movie. Jane Powell's song An Unusual Day performance at the end is amazing.
Well, she introduced that song
in
A Date with Judy. And you get to hear Wallace Beery sing. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
It's an experience.
It's an experience.
How about that? It's an experience.
Yeah.
But
a wonderful cast.
Yes.
Wonderful cast.
Let's see. Isn't it wonderful to go back to the theater? It was. It genuinely was.
Yes. I mean, I've spent my whole life sitting there enjoying not just the movies, but the movie going.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, for anybody else, and a lot of you, of course, you love movies like we love movies. And it just feels strange to watch them at home. It's just not the same thing, is it?
Is this going to intrude on the picture at all?
I mean, only if you hold it there. Only if you hold it directly in front of a camera. It's the only time. Samuel went to see Kong vs. Godzilla in a movie theater recently. There were Distance Fine. It's sort of movie you must see in a theater. Yeah, exactly. That's why my husband and I would like to go. As I say, just figuring out where we feel safe doing that. Like with everything, you just want to do what's right. Hey, Leonard, Moulton, what are your thoughts on the Disneyland TV episode called The Plausible Impossible and Tricks of Our Trade?
Well, I like them a lot, and I introduced them on the Disney Treasures DVD series, and was so happy to be able to show them in their entirety, because they kind of go through the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And, that was one of the beauty parts of Walt Disney's TV show. As a kid, you learned about animation. You learned how animation worked, and like, you know, taking a peek behind the scenes. Everything is behind the scenes now. Everybody does it for everything. The making of.
Yeah.
But that was rare in the 50s and 60s, and so we're grateful to Walt for doing it.
Which actually ties in. So Kelly says, after listening to you all for the past year, I realized that I don't know a whole lot about Walt Disney himself. Is there a biography you recommend?
The one I would recommend is the most recent full-fledged biography by Neil Gabler, Gabler, and I can't remember what the title is, but it's some biography type title.
It sounds like,
and it's the only one written by Neil Gabler, so you shouldn't have too much trouble.
Let's see. What did they call it? Walt Disney, The Triumph. Hold, please. It's loading. The Triumph of the American Imagination. Well, that's why you didn't remember it. That's a long title.
Yeah.
But if you just look up Neil Gabler and Walt Disney, and he spells it Neal, by the by. But yeah, I know you enjoyed that one a lot.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Yeah. The best thing you can do always, of course, is listen to people who actually knew the person. And there are a number who are still alive, a number who are gone. But, hearing from the 9 Old Men and what it was like, I think the best way to describe him was that he was intimidating. Could be intimidating, but also kind.
Julie Andrews tells a story in her book. She's written two autobiographies. One that goes up to Broadway, her first appearance on Broadway, and the other that takes it from there, from Mary Poppins on.
Yeah.
Walt Disney visited her backstage when she was doing her star-making role in My Fair Lady, Eliza Doolittle. No, I guess the boyfriend made her a star.
Yeah.
My Fair Lady cemented that. And Walt came to her dressing room full of praise and compliments, and offered her the leading role in Mary Poppins on the spot. And she was kind of overwhelmed, as anyone would be. And when she came out here with her husband, Tony Walton, who Walt also hired to design the sets and costumes for Mary Poppins, and her baby Emma. He was really kind and generous to her.
Yeah.
And when she finished that film, she went on to make the Americanization of Emily, one of her her first dramatic film, and one of her few non-musical movies from a script by Paddy Chayefsky. And Walt took the trouble to send her a personal note saying that the director, Arthur Hiller, had just made a film for Walt recently called The Miracle of the White Stallions. And Walt was very pleased with not only his work, but his work approach, his outlook. And he wanted to reassure her that she'd be in good hands.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't happen all the time, you know?
He was very special, and you'll hear a lot, especially from the younger people that worked with him.
Yes, we interviewed Haley Mills also.
You name it, and they will tell you that he really took care of them. He went above and beyond to make sure that they were safe and felt nurtured. Again, all of the Mouseketeers say the same things, that he was just very, very kind and warm to them. And that's it's a wonderful thing to hear, because, of course, certain people in history, they cast sort of overwhelming shadows at times. And it's really nice to hear human things, like that he cared and wanted to make sure that they were heard and respected, even as kids. Now, of course, one of my favorite things is he's the one who stopped Annette Funicello from changing her name, because at that time, normally she wouldn't have been Annette Funicello. She would become Annette Smith or something, something very broad, non-ethnic,
right?
Something
generic.
Yeah. And he said, no.
He said, you have a very musical name.
You have a great name. Why would you change that?
And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but in 1954 into 55, It was.
Yeah.
It was. This is so hard to explain or describe to younger people of today who've grown up in a multicultural.
With Chiwetel Ejiofor, Lupita Nyong'o, Jaimin Hounsou, these beautiful names that you would never have heard before.
Right, and also different skin color.
All kinds.
Yes.
All of the colors.
TV was not just black and white in those days.
It was white.
It
was real white.
Was very white.
So
Annette Funicello, being ethnic and having an ethnic name
was a very big deal.
Was a big deal.
And he wanted to keep it that way. Happy Sunday. Thanks, Amy. What is your favorite Edward Everett Horton role? He was so good in everything.
Well, you just said it. He was so good in everything. Well, I guess the Astaire Rogers. I guess Top Hat.
Again, can't go wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long?
Though I also grew up listening to him narrate Fractured Fairy Tales on the Bullwinkle Show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I first, as a kid, encountered Edward Everett Horton. And
help me help you.
Voice Bill Scott.
There you go.
The producer of Bullwinkle, who's also the voice and head writer of Bullwinkle, told me this story. Edward Everett Horton, who looked the same for many, many years and then looked ancient. He really did look ancient. And his voice was intact. It was a great narrator, wonderful. They were at a recording session for the cartoon, and Bill Scott said, Edward Everett, tell me, what is the secret of your longevity? And he said, well, Bill, I'll tell you. When this recording is over, I'm going to my mother's birthday party.
If it brings you joy, man.
There's a street named after him.
Yes.
In Encino,
Yes.
Edward Everett Horton Lane.
Yes. It's a long name to have to write out every time.
Yeah.
After viewing Honest Thief and Thief, I wondered what other movies in that genre about thieves trying to go straight but failing might be better. Already viewed I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang, and it ranks highest.
Well, Alice and I watched some of that on TCM a week or two ago, because when you start, it's hard to turn away from that movie with Paul Muni. Other films about it. Well, of course, I Am a Chain Gang has echoes of Les Miserables. So you can go back to Victor Hugo if you want to do that. And for the 1935 film of Les Mis with Frederick March as Jean Valjean and Charles Lawton as Javert is damn good.
There's so many of those types of thief trying to make good.
Yeah, or One Last Job.
Yeah,
Pull One Last Job.
This is it until it is not it, because it never is it. How long do you give a movie before turning it off? Well, it depends. If my dad has to review it, well, again, COVID year is a whole other monster. I wouldn't include this year because it's a separate entity. In normal life, if you're not going to a screening and you're watching something for the purpose of reviewing it, you watch the whole thing. If it is for pleasure
or curiosity, 20 minutes or so. Yeah. The other night, I watched a film that I was ready to jump ship if it wasn't any good, made by a former student of mine, and it's called Paper Spiders.
Interesting cast.
And Lily Taylor, who's a wonderful actress, and who's the young newcomer in it?
I can't remember her name.
Okay. And it's a film that's modest and well done.
Stefania Lavie Owen.
Okay.
Is her name.
And the name of my former student?
Champagnier,
maybe.
Sure.
Enon. Unusual first name.
It's a unique name, but a cool one.
It's about a high school senior in a suburban town whose mother's always been a little quirky, kind of a character, and they have fun together. There's no dad in the picture. And her mother starts to change. She's not just a character. She's actually starting to become paranoid. And it's the first sign of serious mental illness. and it's a really good little film,
Mm-hmm.
a really good little film. And I watched straight through. I did not.
Yeah, but that's kind of the answer. Is sometimes if you're watching something and it's god awful from the word go,
Yeah,
you try to
we've
give
mentioned
it.
this before. I used to think I should stay with it because maybe it'll get better. Never gets better.
We had a rule when reviewing for the movie guide for all those years. You either could not turn it off, period, or you had to get to at least 20, 25 minutes in. Now, as the, and I quote, Rob Schneider specialist, which was my official title for the movie guide, there were a handful of times where I called my dad and said, A, why do you hate me? But B, please let me turn this off. And I will never forget watching one particular film, and I called my dad and I said, this is horrific. And he said, you have to get to 20 minutes. I said, why? He said, because this is the rule. You know the rules. You have to get to 20 minutes. I got 20 minutes, went downstairs, and I said, seriously, why do you hate me? What did I ever do to you that you hate me so much? But yeah, those are sort of, but again, if you're reviewing it or if you're interviewing somebody for it, it's a whole other, you're not going to turn it off. And if you're in a theater, we've never walked out.
Also watched, by the way, Paper Spiders is available, streaming on video on demand. And so is Simon Baker's film, High Ground.
Yeah, which you liked a lot.
Yeah, good movie.
Yeah.
A good movie with him and the great Jack Thompson, among others.
Mr. Australia.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Mm-hmm. We just got to interview Simon Baker for our show, which was really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Only problem being that he is in Australia and the poor thing was exhausted because of time change and having to do sort of a junket day. But he is an interesting fellow for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever met, this is from our friend Ryan, have you ever met Jeff Curdy, and do you have a favorite of the books he's written? Yeah, I've known Jeff Curdy my entire life.
Jeff produced the first three seasons of the Walt Disney Treasures DVD series. So Jeff and I go way back, and he's so prolific.
There's a lot of books. A lot of books. I think really it just depends on what it is you're looking for.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He knows his stuff.
And one of the last ones, it was another coffee table, had really incredible Disneyland pictures.
Yeah, it's a Disneyland related.
Yeah. That's why it had incredible Disneyland pictures in it.
Yes, of course.
You see. But yeah, Jeff, there's a lot of really, really good books you can find there. Not difficult to do. Maybe I missed it, but have you had a chance to see the restored Rascals Blu-ray?
Funny, you should have.
What, you mean this? Right here?
It arrived 2 days ago, and I've only had a chance to watch the first two shorts. This is a long-awaited full restoration, picture and sound, of the Little Rascals in the sound era, and it's the first season, 1929, 1930. So the first film is Small Talk, their first talkie. And I just marvel at the fact that these kids who had been in the silent, series, where the director, Robert McGowan, could talk them through everything they were doing. All right, you go over there and you pick up that box and come back and give it to Farina, and then he'll pass it on to Marianne. Suddenly, he couldn't do that. And they not only had to know what they're supposed to do in the scene, but memorize dialogue.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was a really big deal.
And they took to it. They just did. All the series, Laurel and Hardy's first sound film is called Unaccustomed as We Are, referring to public speaking. Charlie Chase's first talkie is called The Big Squawk, and their first one is called Small Talk. So it looks and sounds great. I'm going to watch all of it before writing about it on my website. But this is very exciting.
It is very
exciting.
Atik says, hello, Mr. Moulton. Hope you're well. I've asked this question to you numerous times, but I've never received a response. Would you ever...
Excuse me. I want to backtrack for 1 second.
Just kidding.
If you're going online to look for this, you want this one. If you buy it online, that's the cover. And the The supplier is Classic Flicks.
The Classic Flicks with an X, Restorations Volume 1. So this guy here. And my dad will be, when he gets a chance, will be posting about it on the website as well, and that'll have links. Anyway, so this fella's saying, would you ever review short films? The answer, honestly, is that there are so many that I think I don't know how you could.
It's just
because once you open that floodgate,
my time is finite, and I love watching good films, short or long.
Yeah.
But there's only so much I can take in and so much I can produce in terms of coherent writing.
And if you saw the number of press releases we get on a daily basis, or even DVDs coming, there's just so many. So I think that's kind of why you do watch shorts if they come, and a lot of times you watch shorts from your students or former students. That sometimes happens. So he will talk about shorts that he enjoys, but he doesn't really review them because it's just too many. Too many to keep up with. Have you ever seen the Vitaphone variety shorts for Buster Bear by John Scarfoot McCrory? Supposedly the two cartoons were almost the first Looney Tune cartoon shorts, along with Bosco, but instead they were quietly dropped in 1930 and 31 with the Vitaphone variety shorts. Does any of that ring a bell with that?
No. Is that a hoax? Or is that real?
I don't know.
Neither do I.
I don't know. Is it a hoax? You know, say? Have you ever seen A Big Hand for the Little Lady?
Oh, not in years. Not in years. In fact, I came in at the very end of it, I think, on TCM or Fox Movie Channel a month or so ago. Wonderful cast of character actors. I mean, cast list that doesn't quit.
What do you think about the now departed Charles Grodin and his films?
Oh, well, I was a fan.
Yeah.
I was a fan of his talk show too on MSNBC it was at the 80s or the 90s. Don't remember. And one of my favorite contemporary movies is Midnight Run with him and Robert De Niro. They make such a great teamed up in this movie in those parts, written by George Gallo. Trying to think. And it's fascinating to me that Charles Grodin almost played Benjamin in The Graduate.
Yeah. Talk about life altering, right?
What might have been. You know? I just watched one of his segments with Johnny Carson. If you weren't around then, and if you've never seen these, he and Carson had a kind of an understanding, and they had barbed conversations. And people thought they were really angry at each other, or that, he's pissed off, or, it's hard to describe, but I just watched a 12-minute piece on YouTube, where else, and it's just wonderful, just wonderful.
And, it's sad to lose him, but it's nice. Oh, Frank says, I loved him in The Great Muppet Caper. It is nice, at least, that he lives on in so many good movies. Dramatic as well.
Oh, sure.
A lot of people are not familiar so much with his dramatic work, but it's also excellent.
And he wrote 2 books. The first one has a great title, one of my all-time favorite titles. It Would Be So Nice If You Weren't Here. And when he was making the movie, I think 10 Rillington Place, in England, they rented a house or a mansion, for the length of the shoot, and he was resting on a chair in one of the living rooms, and the owner, a very proper English lady, came through, and she said, "Are you with the film?" And he said, "Yes." She said, "It would be so nice if you weren't here." Gotta love a guy who knows a great title when he hears it.
Kids say the darndest things, honestly. Again, he really was special, and we're lucky to have had him. So Sal is saying, today are the birthdays of 2 of the greatest character actors, James Gleason and Frank Mchugh. What are your thoughts on them, and what are some of your favorite film appearances?
I can pick a James Gleason one right away. Here Comes Mr. Jordan, and where he plays Robert Montgomery's fight manager. And it's a great film and a great typical emblematic role for James Gleason. And I like him as Oscar Piper in the Hildegard Withers movies too, opposite Edna May Oliver. And he's great in The Last Hurrah with Spencer Tracy and a bunch of old cronies. Frank Mchugh, I saw most recently in One Way Passage, 1932. I didn't wait all that time to see it. It's a film I can't resist. But hard for me to single out one Frank Mchugh film. Maybe Three Men on a Horse. He did so many. He was one of the Warner Brothers contract players where literally, I don't like to use that word, where literally he could be making one film in the morning and another in the afternoon. Indispensable.
I was just talking to a friend of mine about character actors and how movies don't exist without them, is the reality. And it's part of what we do love about doing our show, doing our podcast, because that to me is the most fun, because they've worked with more both actors and directors than anyone else. A person who's playing a lead, a person who is your leading man, your leading lady, they can only do so many films, in a year. But those people that make up an incredible background,
By the way, there's a very funny column written some years ago for Film Comment magazine by Charles Grodin, which they have just printed online at the Film Comment Film at Lincoln Center website. Film at Lincoln Center, Charles Grodin. I'm sure if you Google that, it will come up because they just sent it out this week upon hearing of his demise.
It's funny. Some people have different versions of how Walt went to Julie. This is the version that Julie tells. So, there's always going to be multiple stories, from everybody. That's kind of just the way it is. Is there a best sneeze on film? That's an interesting question.
Well, Billy Gilbert, the first person I met on my very first trip to Hollywood, the first actor I met, because I so loved him, was known for his sneeze. And in fact, so identified with it that Walt Disney hired him to do the voice of Sneezy.
So perhaps that is the greatest of all sneezes, is Sneezy. Sneezy with his sneezing. Gary's saying, when I noticed Grodin was the good doctor in Rosemary's Baby, it blew my mind. Again, that's what I mean. There are so many actors who work and do all kinds of things.
Yes, he was not a one-note guy.
There's a lot there, which, again, just to me, really, really fascinating. You never know what you're going to find. Thanks, Chris. Chris is saying, not a comment, but I just want to thank the Maltin Trio for all they do every Sunday. It's been a terribly difficult time with my family lately, and the live streams have been an hour or so of just fun. I'm so thankful. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Chris. We just enjoy being with you.
Yeah.
It's nice.
We look forward to it every week.
It's a nice thing to get to do. It is a nice distraction. We are all about distractions now more than ever. Would you like to get out some of your show and tell?
I would. Funny, you should ask.
Funny, I should ask.
I
knew.
I have been going through my stuff. And this week I got to the sheet music. And there's all kinds of sheet music. And it's plentiful. They sold millions of these. They sold them in Woolworths. They sold them in drugstores. There were demonstrators. There were people who were hired to sight read and play these on a piano so you could take it home. Because every middle-class family had a piano. And you provided your own entertainment in those days. So you could, for instance, see the new Mabel Normand film, Mickey, in 1918, and then take home the title song and give it a try on your keyboard But, and it says, adapted from Max Sennett's $500,000 photo play, Mickey, and respectfully dedicated to Mabel Normand. But you had a choice because you get this version of Mickey, different cover, different illustration, or a format that was starting to lose popularity to this more compact. Yet a third.
Getting bigger, pulling them back further and further so you can actually see them because they're big.
One of the things I love about sheet music is that having a song, just like today, having a hit song, helps promote a movie. You might even win an Oscar for it, though people didn't pay attention to the song in the movie. They played it over the closing credits. And so every now and then you'll see sheet music for a film that you have no knowledge of the song, no recollection of the song.
Love Like Ours from the Stanley Kramer production, The Men.
Which was Marlon Brando's first movie.
You're kicking the table, sir.
Sorry.
I like that they've chosen to hide. I like they've chosen this photo of all the photos to put on the front when you have Marlon Brando. Let's just have it where both the actors' faces are not in it. That's a great cover.
I'll talk about that in 1 second.
Yeah.
This, I don't remember this song particularly. It's from New Faces of 1937. Lyric by Lou Brown, music by Sammy Fain, who wrote a lot of great songs. And the photo is of Harriet Hilliard, later known as Harriet Nelson, America's favorite family, Ozzie and Harriet. But they're great caricatures, and I'm pretty sure these are Sam Berman.
Yeah.
Very talented artist. And those are, of course, Joe Penner, Milton Berle, Phil Harris.
Park Your Carcass.
Oh, I'm wrong. It's
Park Your Carcass. If you didn't know, that is Albert Brooks's father. Albert Brooks's father is Park Your Carcass. And what is Park Your Carcass's real name?
Harry Einstein. Therefore, Albert's real name
is Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein.
If you did not know that, Albert Brooks is not Albert Brooks. He is Albert Einstein.
And his late brother was Bob Einstein, otherwise known as Super Dave Osborne.
Yes.
This is a great cover.
It's a fantastic cover.
This is a cover commissioned. When people say posters, old movie posters are too expensive, they've gotten very expensive.
Yeah.
Especially the real classics. But sometimes the sheet music has the same image. So you can have like a miniature version, and it's authentic.
Yeah.
It's authentic. It was issued the exact same time.
You know what they call that, Daddy? That's a hack. That's a collector's hack.
This is a song from Lost Horizon, or associated with Lost Horizon, the great Frank Capra movie, showing Ronald Colman. And it was done by James Montgomery Flagg.
Yeah.
One of America's great illustrators. The man who first illustrated Uncle Sam, if I'm not mistaken.
Authorized for sale only in the United States and Canada.
Okay.
Frank's saying, did you guys ever interview Albert Brooks? I wish. Yeah, Albert Brooks does not, well, yes, but you've talked. He's in my dad's circle of friends, so Lucky over here has gotten to have dinner with him before. Several times. I have not. But basically, Albert does not like doing interviews, and at this point especially, does not want to do interviews. So you did ask. Actually, I think Mommy asked. And his reaction was, so that's the answer. But a girl can dream, because I love Albert.
Now, here are the Ritz brothers. As you know them and love them, in their movie Kentucky Moon's a very forgettable movie. But there's Tony Martin sporting a mustache, which he didn't.
The three of them have the most hideous facial hair at the bottom here.
And that's Marjorie Weaver. And that's Tony again down there. And music by Lou Pollack, lyrics by Sidney Mitchell from Robin's Music. And speaking of comedy teams, here's a latter day one.
Ha! Ah, yes.
Dean and Jerry.
That's a great cover too. Great cover. Nice back as well.
Oh yeah, see, you have to turn them over because there are often hidden goodies on the back.
Gems.
This is a tribute to, not tribute to, it's a promo for Julie Stein, the great prolific songwriter. I wanted to do a story about sheet music for Entertainment Tonight many years ago when they still let me do stories like that. And I said, who can I get to talk about sheet music? I got Julie Stein. I sent the ET crew to his apartment in New York, and he was happy to talk about it. And he played his first hit song, Sunday. And a hit song in those days was based on sheet music sales more than record sales. That shows you how important they were.
Yeah. Gary says, I got the big Bergman set a while back. I have seen a couple, but I haven't cracked it open yet. Where do I start? I don't know. Bergman.
Oh, Ingmar Bergman?
Ingmar, Gary? Which Bergman? There's more than one. Keep going.
There's the great Swedish filmmaker.
He will answer us and we will tell him.
Right.
Keep going.
This is Moonlight on the Prairie, a song I don't know, by Bob Nolan, who started out with Roy Rogers and formed the Sons of the Pioneers.
Do you know what's never a bad idea? Putting a horse on the sheet music. When in doubt, put a horse on your sheet music. Never know. Look at that horse. What a headshot. Yes.
And this is promoting Richard. I've never heard him called
Ingmar. So it's okay, Gary. Gary's saying Ingmar Bergman.
Okay. I'll answer in 1 second. This is Warner Brothers' attempt to feature a singing cowboy.
Yes.
In the wake of Gene Autry's great success in the 1930s. Richard Dick Foran, the singing cowboy, Moonlight on the Prairie. Well, I guess I'd start with, you could do it chronologically because there's a lot of sense to that. Or you could take one of the great classics like The Silent Spring, Seventh Seal. Because once you see a guy playing chess with death,
where do you go from there?
Anyway, I got a million.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot of them.
I do like going through, and then I'm always happy when I know the song and can hum it to myself.
That Marion, that one right there.
Oh yeah, that's really
nice
lovely.
Too.
It's unsigned. It's a very nice. Looks like charcoal or pastel image of her. Recently portrayed in Mank.
Yes.
By
Amanda Seyfried. Yeah. Are you going to pass the torch to Jesse? Well, yeah. People always ask that, and they have since I was little. I will never know as much as my dad. Ever. There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
And
not all of it equally important.
No, but look, you can sing the Colgate jingle. It's fine. No, I don't. When I was younger and people say, do you want to be a film critic? No, I didn't ever want to be a film critic. Did I want to be a film historian? No, never wanted to be a film historian. I always joke that I am film critic and film historian adjacent. I'm around a lot of them. So my child sponge mind picked up a lot. No, I think I'm just always happy being a cheerleader. So, sharing information, getting my dad and folks like my dad out into the world.
Jesse has become my, enabler sounds like
enabler that. Sounds like drugs. They don't have to know about our drug problems.
No. You become my partner in crime, my associate, my.
No, I mean it's so years ago, as the internets were becoming a bigger thing. A number of our friends who have been doing this stuff forever were sort of going, how help, I don't understand. So for a lot of them, I taught them how to use phones and computers. And even now, I'll get a message that's like, how does this work? Yes, Amber says facilitator, but we like to be darker than that. Facilitator sounds too fun. No, so that's the thing. I'm also in our circle of friends, one of the only kids, though I am now not a child anymore. So I was always sort of the closest thing they had to a young person. I love, the whole reason I got my dad onto social media was because it allowed me to share him with everyone, and you get access to him. And I love all of that. And I love doing our interviews. I enjoy meeting people.
Mhm.
I love going to film festivals because traveling is my favorite thing. And this combines travel and film. I love all of those pieces, but I don't think I can never be him. I'm okay with that. And people, we've answered this question. People will say to you, did you want Jesse to follow in your footsteps? And his usual answer is, So
I want her to do whatever she wants to do, whatever brings her fulfillment, a sense of purpose,
porpoise.
whatever that may be.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the best kind of I can explain it. We're lucky we work together and we like working together,
Mm-hmm.
and we've done it forever. And we are an odd but lovable family business, with my mom being the one who handles the business stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad is the talent, and we like to just let him be the talent.
And Alice is the closer.
She is. You do not want to be on a business phone call with my mother. She will eat you alive.
And not resent it.
No, that's the thing we're always anytime we go anywhere, it's so funny, because if somebody has dealt with my mom beforehand, they'll go to us, well, your wife, or wow, your mother. And we go, we know. We know.
But then they say, but I enjoyed dealing with her.
Yeah. No, she's larger than life, a tiny person, but larger than life. And people are always sort of knocked out by her, which makes perfect sense. My friend Rachel here says, Jesse, you are wonderful, but there will never be another Leonard. Nobody could be him or do what he does like he does. Thank you. I agree with you. I agree. You is who you is.
What is Greg Airbar weighing in with?
Oh, Greg Airbar was saying Teddy Bergman earlier. Various Bergmans.
Teddy Bergman, who later changed his name or reverted to his actual name, Alan Reed, who was the voice of Fred Flintstone.
It all ties in, man. It all comes together. Come to visit Portsmouth, New Hampshire in our film festival each fall. We will go to any festival that wants us there.
And I've been to Portsmouth.
We love film festivals. And actually my dad's wearing a Fantastic Fest shirt, and they just announced that there will be a Fantastic Fest in Austin this year, which thrills me, that we can go back and be with our friends and enjoy the craziness that is Fantastic Fest. I think it's one of the most fun places
we have a
that
good time
exists. There. It's just a blast. And you all know, when you meet other film buffs and people who, you're walking into a room there that it's not about egos. It's just about having a good time. And that's all you could really ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And we do. We love it. We absolutely love it. So with that, my friends, our hour has come to an end. It's time for me. Will you say bye? Will you say bye? So here's Logan. Someone asked earlier why he's called Logan. He came with the name. Oh, babe.
It's a package deal.
Look at this little muffin.
Took the dog, took the name.
Mm-hmm. He came with Logan. Mabel, we did get to name, and she's just a Mabel. It suits her. But this little boy, this is Logan. And as I say, we've had him now for 3.5 weeks, something like that. And he's fitting in just fine, aren't you, bub? You're a good boy. Thank you all so much. You know where to find us during the week. You can always send us questions.
And we posted a wonderful new podcast with Ben Burt.
Fascinating man. Oh my God.
I don't think it's wrong to call him legendary.
No.
Legendary sound man, who the voice of Chewbacca, the voice of Wall-E, the voice of R2-D2, all those little blips and bleeps.
All the sounds that make up massive parts of your childhood,
but he's been obsessed with sound since he was a boy, and he'll tell you that story.
Fascinating
on our
man.
podcast.
Fascinating man. And as always, our podcast is free, and you can listen to all sorts of episodes. We've got everybody you can think of on there, and lots of good ones to come. We've just recorded a few more, really exciting. We just spoke to the amazing, truly amazing casting director, Sarah Finn.
She has cast, not past tense.
Yeah.
She has cast every movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and is now doing the same for their television and streaming shows.
Yep. But also Oliver Stone, all kinds of people. She's, as I say, she's a fascinating lady. Anyway, are we waking up a little bit? Okay. Let's turn and we'll say bye. And we say thank you, everyone, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Oh, and your sister's just woken up too. So we'll go outside and we'll play. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you again soon.
See you next Sunday.
Oh, you're so good. Yeah, I know.